36 years old from Kansas City, Missouri. I am Jay's barber in the film Transhood. I own Him, Her, Them hair studio here in Kansas City. We created the salon to serve the trans and non-binary community, as well as everyone. It's a completely inclusive salon, but it is awesome, and everyone seems to be super receptive to it, so it's cool. I guess we'll go on over and meet Jay.
Hi, my name's Jay, and I'm from the HBO documentary Transhood. I am 18 now, and I'm so excited to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashton. I'm 16 years old. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm from Massachusetts. I'm here today as a Human Rights Campaign Youth Ambassador, and I'm excited to be here with you all today.
Hi, I'm Amy. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm an Ashlee certified school psychologist and the chair of the NASP LGBTQI2S committee. I do a lot of work with HRC, Project Thrive, and Time to Thrive.
Cool. So we're here to talk about navigating romantic and interpersonal relationships. So in the film, Jay, we see you dating and navigating that. And how are things going since the film? Are you seeing anybody? Are you doing anything?
I was in a relationship before the documentary did come out, but we did break it off because of the documentary. I was, stressed out and nervous about everything coming out. I still talk to Mildred from the film. We're actually planning on getting lunch soon to catch up. But other than that, I'm pretty single right now.
Awesome. How about you, Ashton? Are you seeing anybody? How's your relationships going?
Yeah, that's a pretty complicated question to answer. I think, any teenager, especially around 16, 17, 18, is, always dealing with one relationship, whether it's romantic or not. At the moment, I have something in the air. I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but over the past year or so, I've just learned to go with the flow. That's just the best way. But I've just prioritized taking care of myself and making sure that I'm the best person I can be in a relationship, because genuinely, I think that's what'll bring the best outcome.
That's awesome, Ashton.
Well, I guess back in September, 2020 is just like there's no sense of time anymore. But I celebrated my 3-year wedding anniversary. My wife and I have been together now for almost 8 years, but that's kind of a cool milestone for me. And not only getting married, but now celebrating 3 years, so it's pretty wild.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so, gosh, I don't really know where to go with all of this. As far as, I guess, how things are going in the future, or what we're doing in the future as relationships, and Jay, from the film, I assume you're getting positive and negatives and all the things back, but, has that affected, maybe how you see moving on with relationships or dating anybody, or is there going to be, I guess some sort of, I don't know.
Well, when the trailer came out, I didn't get a lot of positive feedback at first, because I switched schools. I went from Raytown to Blue Springs, and at Raytown, not a lot of people knew at all, and a lot of them lashed at me, because I've had the same phone number since I was in my freshman year. So I got a lot of text messages the day the trailer came out, and they weren't very positive. Then the documentary came out, and I got a lot of positive feed. A lot of people, DMing me on Instagram or on social media. Dating wise, I don't think I'm gonna date anytime soon or talk to anybody. I just think that now that I finally have found my happiness and I feel a lot better, and I learned to love myself, that, it's time to take time for myself and, benefit myself in better ways. I just think, and focus on school. I got a lot of school to do. But yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, definitely good for you. I'm having a little trouble hearing Amy here. I'm trying to turn my volume up a little bit. So, Amy, what are your kind of thoughts on how the film goes with relationships and just?
I mean, relationships are hard during adolescence, and I don't necessarily say that they get easier in adulthood. When you're talking about a relationship, you're talking about bringing two people together, and I think there's a tendency for people to try to act as one rather than retain their individuality in a relationship. And in working with youth and family members and things of that nature who are non-binary, trans, or gender diverse, I think it adds a whole new layer because, and Jay and Ashton can correct me, or Jaron, you as well, in that you are looking to be seen the way you are. And when people don't see you as you, it can make you question everything. And that's not what you want in a relationship, because that's undermining, and it really makes you question everything in your self-worth and whether that person likes you or sees you. And that can make it really more challenging. See a lot of head nodding. I guess I can't hear head nodding.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Like coming from Kansas City, we're such a, I don't know, I hesitate to use small town because it is a large city in the Midwest, but I still feel like we're very kind of the small town vibes. And so for me, and I don't want to take up a ton of your guys' time talking about me, but for me, growing up here, I didn't even hear the word transgender until I was 19 years old. So I didn't even know that something like this existed. I knew how I felt, but I didn't know that this was even something that a person could do. And of course, when I was 19, I didn't have the internet, and I didn't have all of these things. So it's really cool to kind of see, and envious as well to see the way the world is going in these kids. And I'm so jealous that I didn't get to be 18 and
Sure.
navigating this world as who I am now. So it's pretty cool for me to watch. Like I'm kind of like fanboying over everybody. Like it's cool.
And I know in the film we could see, Jay, that you went through that, where it was like, do I come out? Do I not? And then you were outdid. Right?
Yeah. So there is a reason why I've hid for so long. Even before anything, I've been bullied terribly. I mean, I was tripped. I was beat up in the bathrooms. I mean, I was in the hospital for like 5 days because I got a really bad concussion. I was just bullied severely as a younger kid, and so it made me be like, I don't need to explain myself. I don't want to tell anybody anything, because if I open my mouth, then what happens next? What
Sure.
happens? Am I going to turn the corner and I'm going to get beat up again? So um, I hid for a really long time because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to, I guess people would say, face the consequences. And because I always thought if I told somebody, there was a consequence out of it. Someone was going to follow me, chase me. You know what I mean? I just didn't know what was going to happen. So I hid for so long. And I think the documentary really has shined a light and has showed me that, I can't really sit there and dwell on the past and how I get bullied all the time. And it has showed me that I can be myself and not have to, make everybody else happy, or, care about what other people think. I should only care about what I think.
You're right in so many ways. And I can hear in your story that you faced a lot of negative consequences, but there can be positive consequences. And I think one of the positive consequences is you seem like you're very resilient now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Ashton? What has been your experience?
Yeah, I'm just like hearing your story and everything. And, I really feel for you, because I feel like me identifying as a person who's transgender and just being with people who are part of the community, it's so very often that we, see people, looking at us for like what we are, not who we are. And if we look at that in a lens through like relationships and everything, I know for me, I came out, in the summer before my 7th grade year of middle school. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about relationships because I was struggling with my gender identity. But it didn't take me long to realize that my peers around me stopped seeing me for Ashton and just started to see me for my gender identity and that I was transgender. So, as I entered high school, that was something I was hesitant to, tell my peers about and share with them because I feared that they weren't going to see me for anything past my gender identity. So what I ended up doing was, staying in the closet at my new school and just, I guess you could say I was living my life as Ashton, but nobody really knew who I was in a sense. And I was very secretive about my gender identity. And for me, it was hard to kind of navigate that because I go to a boarding school and I'm sleeping in dorms with, cis men and, just navigating, kind of feeling like I had to hide and like, to change whenever I was showering and just kind of that whole entire layer of fear. And even though I went through that, one thing I was able to benefit from was the fact that my friends, they were my friends because of me and who I was. And, if people liked me, they liked me because of me and who I was without knowing about my gender identity. And, it took me a couple months to just come to the conclusion that I wasn't bringing my best self to school. So it was the best for me to kind of, come out and let everyone know who I was. And it's either you take it or leave it. I wasn't willing to kind of put myself in a place where, I had to hide who I was to make others happy. And, when I did that, I was met with a lot of acceptance, which, I wasn't sure if I was going to get, but I was. And that was really enlightening and it made me super happy. But, it's just another thing to have to, kind of manage and navigate as a teenager. But yeah.
Awesome. I do have a question for y'all. So one of the questions I often get when I'm working with students is, when do you come out? When do you share your identity? Do you have to share your identity? And how do you navigate those waters? Do you guys have any advice for others? What would you tell either your former self or peers or strangers that are asking that question?
Well, I mean, I know coming from an adult perspective, like my wife's family didn't know I was trans until literally just this last year, and not all of them know. Only her mother knows, and that. Very, very long story short, she went to buy me a license. She was going to get my fishing license for an Easter present, and I didn't know any better, so I gave her my name and my social security number. All of my things had been changed, so I had no idea that it would even pop back with anything else. And luckily, she's so amazing and so cool, and like I didn't have wasn't an issue when she found out, but it was, for me, it was mortifying. So she just sent me literally one word, and that was my birth name, and I was like, oh God, like where do we go from here?
Right.
So it was really tough. But you guys like being, a little younger and things like that. Like maybe, God, my hope is that the world is maybe less strict than in my world. I don't know if that strict is the right word, but like, are you met with the same sort of look at that? Like,
Right.
as far as.
And do you even feel like you have to or should have to? One of the things I deal with, I recognize privilege as a cis person in that people assume something about me that is true about me, and that's a real privilege and it creates a bias. How do you all experience life? Would you give advice, or have you had similar experiences to Jaron in that regard?
I would say coming out has no time limit. I definitely think it's something that you have to find within yourself because with me, an example, I couldn't come to terms with it. I couldn't come to terms with telling anybody. And I think it's because I wasn't happy within my own skin and I didn't love myself. So I think it's the most important thing is to love yourself, find that inner light inside and share it with others when you are ready. Because my mom was always scared that I was going to get in trouble or something was going to happen because I didn't tell everybody. And, even though she was pushing me in a loving way, I still didn't do it because I wasn't ready. I think the most advice and the best advice I can give is when you are ready, and you love yourself and you're happy within yourself, that's when it's the time to come out.
Absolutely. How about you, Ashton?
Yeah, definitely. I'm 100% on board with Jay with that. I feel like he said, coming out, you never just come out once and that's it. I feel like as a transgender person, you're always coming out to people, whether you think you're done or you're not. But I definitely agree with the fact that it's definitely at your own pace and when you're ready for it. Because, I know when I came out, my family and I, we kind of talk about how my transition isn't only my transition, it's a transition as a family. And I feel like that, it takes a lot of energy, obviously, from yourself and the people around you. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you and who you are as a person and your identity. And it's really important to prioritize how you're feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about, like Amy had asked about, when is the right time to disclose to a potential partner, like, that you're going to be dating? Like, do you guys feel like, is that, kind of different than, if you're just sort of dating people, you don't need to say anything? Well, I mean, you don't need to say anything like you just said at all. But how do you feel about that? When do you feel like maybe it's the right time to disclose that to a partner or a potential romantic partner?
So there's like a little rule with my mom and I. You kind of like, if you think you're gonna date them or you guys are gonna start dating, you should probably say something. Because it is important for the other person to know. I mean, you're kind of trusting that person, but you never know, like, how long you guys are gonna be together or whatnot. And I think like, I talked to my mom a lot thoroughly through this. It's important that you tell your partner because they're gonna be sharing most of your time with. You're gonna be talking to them, and you want to be able to talk about things that you can't talk about with other people. Like, I know in my past relationship, when I was going through a hard struggle, when I couldn't see my doctor, I was upset, but she knew already, so I could just vent and let it off my chest instead of hiding it even more. And I definitely think it's important to tell your partner before you guys start dating. Maybe like in the talking phase or whatever you want to call it.
What do you think, Ashton?
Yeah, I think this kind of idea of disclosure hits really close to home for me and my mom just because of, the fear that's in a mother, especially I know when I was like thinking about coming out at the age of 12, I didn't really know a lot about the word transgender, like what it meant to be transgender. So the first thing I did was hit the internet. And, while I did come across a lot of wonderful and remarkable stories and remarkable people, I came across a lot of negative stories about, transgender women of color who were beaten for, being their authentic selves and not kind of disclosing to their partner that they were transgender, and, them taking out fear on them because of that and them getting hurt. And, while I was learning about this at the age of 12, my mom was also learning about it. And ever since then, as her child, she's very, protective of me as her kid. And she never wants me to be kind of put in that position where, I can be hurt or I can be injured or, I'm not safe. So we kind of have a rule, kind of like Jay said, my family, we have a rule that if, I am talking to someone or if I am seeing someone, it's very important that I do let them know about my trans identity. But at the same time, as a teenager, it's super frustrating to just have to always think about that. And, sometimes I do get upset and frustrated that, my peers don't have to do that, but it's something else added that I have to do. And, even though I know, kind of its importance and everything, at sometimes it can be just something else to worry about.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
really fortunate, and it shouldn't have to be a fortunate experience. It should be something that every young person has. But the two of you seem to have parents that are very supportive and protective of you. And then I think that's truly wonderful. And I'm glad you guys have that. I see all too often that people that don't have that support will try to find that in a romantic partner. And parental love is not the same thing as romantic love. But I think you guys are both right. And like Jerem was saying, it's an individual situation. And so it's up to you. And so I think as adults and as parents, we have this desire to protect young people by sharing stories for them. But the reality is it's your story to share when you want to share it. And when you don't want to share it, you don't have to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you all have anything else you wanted to add about relationships or dating? Or what advice you'd give to other young people experiencing and navigating this journey?
I think loving yourself is the most important thing, being trans, because for the longest time, I hated myself, and I hated, you know, I had this hate that was like, why me? Why did I have to go through this? Why couldn't I be normal? Um, but I've learned to love myself in the skin I am in, and I've learned to deal with the things that I have to. Yeah, I may not love it all, but I have learned to love myself enough to talk about it, to talk to people, because when I was a little younger, I couldn't talk to therapists. I would sit in the room and they would ask me a million questions, but I just would look at them because it's just like I wasn't happy, and I hated myself so long that I just didn't ever want to talk about it. I never wanted to do anything. So I definitely think the most important thing is finding that love within yourself. It's very important.
You can see it in you. You just carry yourself with so much ease, and you can see that development in the film. You really can. It's awesome.
Thank you.
How about you, Ashton?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Jay. I think that self-love is definitely at the top of my list because on top of everything he just said, without self-love, you can't really love anyone else to the best of your ability. And I feel like especially in terms of a relationship, it's really important that you're able to be there for yourself, but also for the other person. But yeah, definitely everything that Jay said.
Yeah. And Jaron, when you were cutting Jay's hair in the film, you could just see as the haircut was progressing, the smile just started to appear. And it was like Jay was being able to look in the mirror and see who Jay knew who he was. And that's a gift that I can see you giving a lot of people. It's awesome.
Absolutely. That's 100% the most rewarding part of the job. I love, we've got, like I said, humans of all inside out, outside of, and, on the binary and non as well. And just watching, almost instantly walking in the door, we, have a lovely, inviting environment anyway, but just watching sort of this load fall off of their shoulders and just kind of be like, wow, look at this. Like, and I heard Jay a minute ago, use the word normal, and babe, you are normal. Mm-hmm. Like normal is such a tough thing. It's, that little picture inside of our head that if we let go of that picture, the world is a better place. So, I'm watching these kids come in and adults alike, I've got a couple of, trans women that are in their 50s and doing this for the first time, at 50 years old. Just watching kind of who they are just blossom in the skin it's a truly rewarding and awesome thing. Yeah. And I tell them the same thing, they're like, well, I just love that I can come in here and feel normal. And I'm like, honey, you are normal. You are normal. Like,
I want to thank you guys all for participating. This has been a lot of fun for me. Jay, I feel like I'm fangirling having seen you on a big screen, and Ashton having sat in the audience while you were speaking at HRC. It's really cool. So thank you. It was great.
You.
Good luck in college, by the way.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to all today's moderators and panelists for some riveting discussions. Be sure to share the summit with your friends using hashtag Translation Summit. And if you haven't yet, watch HBO's Transhood, now streaming on HBO Max. Join us back tomorrow, Thursday, November 19th, for day 3 of the Translation Summit, focusing on celebrating the trans community and allies. Or if you're joining us at a later date, you can watch all available videos from the Translation Summit on HBO's YouTube page.